First contact and misunderstanding. The vast emptiness of space had never felt so oppressive to Captain Ilara Chen as it did in this moment. Her eyes were fixed on the main view screen of the Earth ship Curiosity, watching an alien vessel materialize from the inky blackness. Its hull shimmered with an iridescent sheen that seemed to absorb and reflect starlight in equal measure. Status report, Ilara barked, her fingers drumming a nervous rhythm on the arm of her command chair. Lieutenant Ravi Mehta's voice rang out from the science station. The alien vessel is holding position, Captain. No weapons signatures detected, but their tech is so advanced, I can't be certain. Ilara nodded, her mind racing. Humanity had dreamed of this moment for centuries, first contact with an alien civilization. But now that it was here, she felt woefully unprepared. Open a channel, she ordered, straightening her uniform. Let's introduce ourselves. The communications officer, Ensign Zhang, worked her console. Channel open, Captain. Ilara took a deep breath. This is Captain Ilara Chen of the Earth ship Curiosity. We come in peace and wish to establish diplomatic relations. For several agonizing moments, there was no response. Then, a melodious trill filled the bridge, accompanied by a series of holographic symbols that danced in the air before them. Translation matrix is having trouble, Captain, Zhang reported. But I think they're inviting us aboard their ship. Ilara's eyebrows shot up. That's quite the welcome wagon. Opinions. Her first officer, Commander Jack O'Neill, leaned in close. Could be a trap, Captain, but if we refuse, we might miss our only chance at peaceful contact. Ilara nodded. Agreed. Assemble an away team. You, me, Meta for science, and Dr. Mbake for medical. Let's make history. Minutes later, they materialized in what appeared to be a vast, cathedral-like chamber aboard the alien vessel. The walls pulsed with soft bioluminescence, and gravity seemed to shift subtly with each step. Before them stood three beings unlike anything Ilara had ever seen. They were vaguely humanoid, but their bodies seemed to be composed of interlocking crystalline structures that flowed and reformed with each movement. Where eyes should have been, they had clusters of shimmering orbs that rotated and realigned constantly. One of the aliens stepped forward, its body chiming softly. A holographic display sprang to life between them, showing a series of complex mathematical equations. Meta's eyes widened. Captain, I think they're trying to establish a common language through universal constants. Ilara nodded. Respond in kind, Lieutenant. Let's show them we're not just primates with fancy toys. For the next hour, the two groups engaged in a complex dance of mathematics, physics, and chemistry. Slowly but surely, a rudimentary form of communication began to take shape. The lead alien, whom they came to know as Sixlith, conveyed that they were representatives of the Galactic Concord, a coalition of advanced species that maintained peace and order in this sector of the galaxy. We welcome you, humans. Sixlith's thoughts resonated in their minds, the translation becoming clearer. Long have we observed your species' development. You stand now at a crossroads. Ilara felt a mix of awe and trepidation. We're honored to make your acquaintance. What do you mean by crossroads? Sixlith's crystalline form shimmered. Your species has great potential, but also great capacity for destruction. The Concord must determine if you are ready to join Galactic society. O'Neill shifted uneasily. And if we're found wanting? The alien's response was chilling in its simplicity. Then measures will be taken to ensure the safety of the galaxy. Ilara fought to keep her voice steady. We understand. How can we prove ourselves worthy? Sixlith gestured, and a shimmering hologram appeared, a representation of Earth. Your planet faces many crises: environmental degradation, resource scarcity, political strife. Solve these issues, and you will be welcomed with open appendages. Dr. Mbake spoke up, her voice tinged with frustration. With all due respect, we've been working on those problems for generations. If we had the technology to solve them overnight, we would have. The aliens conferred among themselves, their bodies chiming in complex harmonies. Finally, Zixlith turned back to the humans. Perhaps a more immediate demonstration of your species' potential is in order. With a graceful motion, Zixlith produced a small, transparent cube. Inside, a liquid that looked suspiciously like water swirled and danced. This, Zixlith explained, is aqua vitae. It is the most precious substance in the known galaxy. A single drop can power a starship for a year, heal any wound, or terraform a barren world. Ilara's eyes widened. Incredible. And you offering this to us? Zixlith's body pulsed with what might have been amusement. Not quite. This cube contains a minute amount of aqua vitae, but it is sealed by forces beyond your current understanding. If you can open it and harness its power, you will prove your worthiness to join the Concord. O'Neill frowned. And if we can't, then you will remain isolated until you advance sufficiently on your own. But be warned, the cube is also a test of restraint. Misuse of the aqua vitae could have catastrophic consequences. Ilara accepted the cube with trembling hands. We understand. We won't let you down. As they prepared to return to their ship, Zixlith had one final warning. Remember, humans, the power within that cube could remake worlds or destroy them. Choose wisely. Back aboard the Curiosity, Ilara called an emergency meeting of her senior staff. The cube sat at the center of the conference table, its contents swirling hypnotically. Opinions? Ilara asked, looking around at her crew. Meta spoke first. The technology is like nothing we've ever seen, Captain. It'll take years, maybe decades, to understand it fully. Dr. Mbake nodded. And we have no idea what the physiological effects of this aqua vitae might be. It could be miraculous or deadly. O'Neill leaned forward, his eyes never leaving the cube. We're missing the point. This isn't just about the cube. It's about proving ourselves worthy of galactic civilization. We need to think outside the box. Ilara raised an eyebrow. What are you suggesting, Commander? O'Neill grinned. Well, they said opening the cube would prove our worth, but they never specified how we had to open it. Understanding dawned on Ilara's face. You're not suggesting. Oh yes, I am, O'Neill replied. We're going to do what humans do best. We're going to improvise. Over the next few hours, the crew of the Curiosity worked feverishly. They analyzed the cube from every angle, ran countless simulations, and debated endlessly about the best course of action. Finally, as the ship's chronometer ticked over to mark 12 hours since their encounter with the aliens, Ilara made her decision. All right, she said, addressing her senior staff and the Zixlith, who had returned to observe their progress. We're ready to attempt opening the cube. The alien's crystalline form vibrated with what might have been anticipation. Proceed. Ilara nodded to O'Neill, who stepped forward with a determined grin. In his hand, he held a simple tool that had served humanity well for millennia, a bottle opener. You said this was aqua vitae, O'Neill explained, positioning the opener against one edge of the cube. Well, on Earth, aqua vitae was an old term for alcohol, and if there's one thing humans know how to do, it's open a drink. Before anyone could object, O'Neill applied pressure. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, with a sound like tinkling crystal, the cube split open. The aqua vitae hung in the air for a moment, a perfect sphere of shimmering liquid. Then, to everyone's shock, O'Neill did the unthinkable. He drank it. The effect was immediate and extraordinary. O'Neill's body began to glow with an inner light. His eyes blazed with cosmic fire, and for a moment, it seemed as if he could see to the very edge of the universe. My God, he whispered, I can see everything. Zixlith and the other aliens recoiled in shock. Impossible. No species has ever been able to directly metabolize aqua vitae. The power, it should have destroyed you. Ilara stepped forward, her voice filled with pride. You underestimated us, Zixlith. Humans have been consuming liquids of questionable nature since the dawn of our civilization. We've built up quite a tolerance. As the glow faded from O'Neill, leaving him looking refreshed but otherwise unharmed, Zixlith's crystalline form rippled with what could only be described as awe. Perhaps, the alien admitted, we have much to learn from each other. Welcome to the galactic community, humans. I suspect you'll be shaking things up quite a bit. Ilara grinned, already imagining the adventures that lay ahead. Oh, you have no idea. Now, he's up for a drink. We've got some celebrating to do. As the humans and aliens began to mingle, a new chapter in galactic history was written. Humanity had taken its first sip of the cosmos, and the universe would never be the same. The Galactic Challenge. The celebratory mood aboard the Earth ship Curiosity was short-lived. As the initial shock of Commander O'Neill's daring act wore off, the implications of what had transpired began to sink in. Captain Ilara Chen paced the length of the conference room, her brow furrowed in concentration. All right, people. We've made quite an entrance onto the galactic stage. Now we need to figure out our next move. Dr. Mbeke, the ship's chief medical officer, was hunched over a datapad, scrolling through a stream of bio readings. I still can't believe Jack survived drinking pure aqua vita. His cellular structure has been altered, enhanced even, but I can't begin to understand how. O'Neill, for his part, seemed unfazed by his transformation. If anything, he looked more alive than ever, his eyes sparkling with an inner fire. I feel fantastic, Doc. Like I could run a marathon or calculate P to 1,000,000 digits. Is this how the aliens feel all the time? Zixlith, who had remained aboard the Curiosity to observe humanity's next steps, chimed softly. Your response to aqua vita is unprecedented. In all our travels, we have never encountered a species capable of directly metabolizing its power. It concerns us. Ilara stopped her pacing and faced the crystalline alien. Concerns you? I thought this was exactly what you wanted, proof that humanity is ready for the galactic stage. The alien's form rippled, a sign they were now recognizing as discomfort. Readiness and capability are not always aligned, Captain. Your species has shown great potential, yes, but also a recklessness that could pose a threat to the delicate balance of the galactic concord. Lieutenant Meta, who had been quietly analyzing data from the alien ship, spoke up. Captain, I think I understand their concern. If every human could do what Commander O'Neill did, we'd essentially have a race of superhumans on our hands. From their perspective, we'd be unpredictable, dangerous even. Ilara nodded slowly, the weight of the situation settling on her shoulders. So where does that leave us, Zixlith? You said we were at a crossroads. Have we passed your test or failed it spectacularly? The alien's crystalline structure realigned, forming a shape that was somehow both more and less humanoid. Neither, and both. Your actions have forced the Concord to re-evaluate its entire approach to emerging species. We find ourselves uncertain. O'Neill leaned forward, his enhanced perceptions allowing him to pick up subtle shifts in the alien's energy field. You're scared of us, he said, not unkindly. You've had everything figured out for so long, and now we've come along and upset the apple cart. Zixlith's form chimed in what might have been a sigh. Your idiom is unfamiliar, but the sentiment is not incorrect. The Concord has maintained peace and order for millennia by carefully managing the advancement of new species. Your unpredictability presents a unique challenge. Ilara's mind raced, seeing both danger and opportunity in the alien's words. Then let us prove ourselves. You said our planet faces many crises. Give us a chance to show that we can use this new understanding responsibly to solve our problems and earn our place in the galactic community. For a long moment, Zixlith was silent, their crystalline form pulsing with complex harmonies as they communicated with the wider Concord. Finally, they spoke. The Concord has deliberated and reached a decision. Humanity will be given a challenge, a chance to prove its worth and readiness. The tension in the room was palpable as everyone leaned in to hear the alien's pronouncement. You will be granted limited access to Concord technology and knowledge, Zexlith continued. Your task is to address 3 of your planet's most pressing issues: environmental degradation, energy scarcity, and political discord. You have 1 standard galactic year to show significant progress. If you succeed, you will be welcomed into the Concord. If you fail, Ilara nodded slowly, the weight of the situation settling on her shoulders. So where does that leave us, Zexlith? You said we were at a crossroads. Have we passed your test or failed it spectacularly? The alien's crystalline structure realigned, forming a shape that was somehow both more and less humanoid. Neither, and both. Your actions have forced the Concord to re-evaluate its entire approach to emerging species. We find ourselves uncertain. O'Neill leaned forward, his enhanced perceptions allowing him to pick up subtle shifts in the alien's energy field. You're scared of us, he said, not unkindly. You've had everything figured out for so long, and now we've come along and upset the apple cart. Zixlith's form chimed in what might have been a sigh. Your idiom is unfamiliar, but the sentiment is not incorrect. The Concord has maintained peace and order for millennia by carefully managing the advancement of new species. Your unpredictability presents a unique challenge. Ilara's mind raced, seeing both danger and opportunity in the alien's words. Then let us prove ourselves. You said our planet faces many crises. Give us a chance to show that we can use this new understanding responsibly to solve our problems and earn our place in the galactic community. For a long moment, Zixlith was silent, their crystalline form pulsing with complex harmonies as they communicated with the wider Concord. Finally, they spoke. The Concord has deliberated and reached a decision. Humanity will be given a challenge, a chance to prove its worth and readiness. The tension in the room was palpable as everyone leaned in to hear the alien's pronouncement. You will be granted limited access to Concord technology and knowledge, Zexlith continued. Your task is to address 3 of your planet's most pressing issues: environmental degradation, energy scarcity, and political discord. You have 1 standard galactic year to show significant progress. If you succeed, you will be welcomed into the Concord. If you fail, the alien didn't need to finish the sentence. The implications were clear. Ilara straightened her uniform, her voice firm. We accept your challenge, Zixlith. Humanity has faced long odds before. We won't let you down. As the alien departed to make arrangements, Ilara turned to her crew. All right, people. We've got our work cut out for us. Meta, I want you coordinating with the Concord scientists, learning everything you can about their tech. Mimbeek, work with O'Neill to understand his transformation. If we can replicate even a fraction of the Aqua Vita's effects safely, it could be a game changer. O'Neill grinned, cracking his knuckles. And what will you be doing, Captain? Ilara's expression was grim but determined. I'll be heading back to Earth to brief the United Earth government. Something tells me convincing squabbling politicians to work together might be the toughest challenge of all. The next few months were a whirlwind of activity. As news of first contact spread across Earth, reactions ranged from jubilation to panic. Ilara found herself thrust into the role of humanity's primary ambassador, shuttling between marathon meetings with world leaders and strategy sessions with top scientists. The Concord, true to their word, provided humanity with glimpses of advanced technology, clean energy systems, advanced materials, and terraforming techniques that bordered on magic. But it was clear that they were holding back, watching carefully to see how humanity would use these gifts. Meta and his team worked around the clock, reverse engineering alien tech and combining it with human ingenuity. Progress was made in leaps and bounds, but for every problem solved, 2 more seemed to crop up. Meanwhile, Dr. Mig's research into O'Neill's transformation yielded both promising and troubling results. The Aqua Vitae had indeed enhanced him on a fundamental level, increased strength, accelerated healing, and cognitive abilities that defied conventional understanding. But attempts to replicate the effects in other test subjects led to dangerous and unpredictable results. As the halfway point of their allotted year approached, Ilara called a meeting of the project leaders in a secure facility beneath the United Earth Government headquarters in Geneva. "Status reports," she said, her voice hoarse from endless rounds of negotiations and public addresses. The audacity of Commander Jack O'Neill's plan was matched only by its potential for catastrophic failure. As Captain Ilara Chen stood on the bridge of the Earth ship Curiosity, watching the swirling blue marble of her home planet grow larger in the viewscreen, she couldn't help but wonder if they were making a terrible mistake. "Status report," she barked, more out of habit than necessity. Lieutenant Ravy met his fingers danced across his console. "All systems nominal, Captain. The package is secure in the cargo bay. Environmental controls are stable." Ilara nodded, her jaw clenched. "And our guests?" "The Concord observers are in their quarters," Ensign Zhang reported from communications. "They're uneasy. I don't think they fully understand what we're about to do." "Join the club," Ilara muttered under her breath. Then, louder, "All right, people. We've got one shot at this. Let's make it count." As the Curiosity entered Earth's atmosphere, Ilara's mind raced back to the genesis of this insane gambit. It had started, as so many world-changing ideas do, with a joke. 3 weeks earlier, in the depths of their brainstorming sessions, O'Neill had quipped, "You know, if we could just get everyone on Earth to take a sip of that aquavita stuff, maybe they'd all wise up and start working together." The room had fallen silent, each person present realizing the mad brilliance of the idea. It was reckless, potentially disastrous, and exactly the kind of outside-the-box thinking that had gotten humanity this far. Of course, they couldn't actually give aquavita to the entire population. Even if they had enough of the substance, the fatality rate from their experiments made it clear that O'Neill's survival had been a 1-in-a-million fluke. But what if they could simulate the experience? What if they could give humanity a taste of the cosmic perspective that O'Neill had gained? And so, Project Cosmic Gulp was born. Using a combination of Concord holographic technology, human neuroscience, and insights gained from studying O'Neill's transformed biology, they had created a device that could safely simulate the consciousness-expanding effects of aquavita on a massive scale. The plan was audacious. They would broadcast the effect globally, giving every human on Earth a momentary glimpse of the universe as O'Neill now saw it. A few seconds of cosmic awareness, a taste of the infinite, carefully calibrated to expand minds without breaking them. It was a roll of the dice on a planetary scale. Either it would shock humanity out of its petty squabbles and into a new age of cooperation, or, well, Ilara preferred not to dwell on the alternative. As the Curiosity touched down on the grounds of the United Earth Government headquarters in Geneva, Ilara steeled herself for what was to come. The next few hours would determine the fate of humanity. The scene that greeted them as they disembarked was one of barely controlled chaos. World leaders, scientists, and military personnel swarmed around the ship, all demanding answers and assurances. In the sky above, Concord observer ships hovered, their crystalline structures gleaming in the sunlight. Zixlith approached, their forms shimmering with what Ilara had come to recognize as agitation. "Captain Chen, we must protest this course of action. The risk to your species." Ilara cut them off, her voice firm. "With all due respect, Zixlith, you gave us a challenge. This is how we've chosen to meet it. You wanted to see human ingenuity. Well, here it is." Before the alien could respond, O'Neill stepped forward, the device they dubbed the Cosmic Keg, cradled carefully in his arms. It was a surprisingly small thing, considering its potential impact, a silvery sphere about the size of a beach ball, humming with barely contained energy. "Ladies, gentlemen, and beings of all designations," O'Neill announced, his voice carrying across the crowded plaza. "I hold in my hands the future of humanity. In about an hour, every person on this planet is going to get a little taste of the big picture. It's going to be one hell of a ride." As the final preparations were made, Ilara found herself in a secure bunker deep beneath the UAG headquarters. Surrounding her were the most powerful people on the planet, all watching nervously as Meta and his team made the final calibrations to the cosmic keg. T-minus 5 minutes, Meta announced, his voice steady despite the pressure. Ilara looked around the room, meeting the eyes of each world leader in turn. "This is our moment," she said. "In a few minutes, we're either going to usher in a new age for humanity or—" She let the sentence hang, unfinished. The president of the United Earth government, a stern-faced woman named Adais Okafor, stepped forward. "Captain Chen, are you certain about this? The potential consequences." "Madam President," Ilara interrupted, "the consequences of inaction are just as dire. We're out of time and out of options. It's now or never." President Okafor held Ilara's gaze for a long moment, then nodded. "Very well, let's make history." The final minutes ticked away in tense silence. Then, with a nod from Meta, O'Neill placed his hand on the cosmic keg. As the only human who had experienced the full effects of aqua vitae, he was the key to the whole operation. "Here goes nothing," he muttered, and activated the device. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, like a wave of invisible energy, the effect rippled outward. Ilara gasped as her consciousness expanded, the walls of the bunker seeming to melt away. She saw the Earth, a beautiful blue marble suspended in the void, but it didn't stop there. Her mind raced outward, past the moon, the planets, out of the solar system. She saw the spiraling arms of the Milky Way, then other galaxies, clusters, superclusters. The universe unfolded before her in all its vast, terrifying beauty. And she wasn't alone. She could feel the minds of billions of her fellow humans, all experiencing the same cosmic journey. For a brief, eternal moment, humanity was one. Then, as quickly as it had begun, it was over. Ilara found herself back in the bunker, gasping for breath. Around her, world leaders and officials were picking themselves up off the floor, their eyes wide with wonder and shock. Did it work?" someone asked, their voice trembling. Before anyone could answer, the bunker's communication system crackled to life. It was Zhang, her voice filled with awe. "Captain, you need to see this." They rushed to the surface, emerging into a world transformed. The sky was filled with shimmering auroras, an after effect of the massive energy discharge. But more incredible was the scene on the ground. People were flooding the streets, not in panic, but in celebration. Strangers were embracing, long-standing enemies were shaking hands. The air was filled with a palpable sense of unity and purpose. Sexlith approached, their crystalline form pulsing with what might have been amazement. "Incredible. In all our millennia of observation, we have never seen anything like this. Your species continues to surprise us, Captain Chen." Ilara allowed herself a small smile. "That's kind of our thing." As the hours passed, reports flooded in from around the globe. The effect had been near universal. Conflicts were ending, cooperation was at an all-time high. The shared experience of cosmic awareness had shifted humanity's perspective in a fundamental way. But it wasn't all smooth sailing. There were reports of mental breakdowns, of people unable to cope with the vastness they had glimpsed, and some, a small but vocal minority, were already calling for weaponization of the technology, seeing it as a path to human dominance of the galaxy. As the sun set on this historic day, Ilara found herself back aboard the Curiosity, looking down at the changed world below. O'Neill joined her, his enhanced perceptions allowing him to see the subtle shifts in the planet's energy. "We did it, Captain," he said softly. "We actually pulled it off." Ilara nodded, her expression a mix of pride and concern. "We've taken a big step, that's for sure, but our challenge isn't over. We've given humanity a new perspective. Now we have to prove we can use it wisely." As if in response to her words, a priority message flashed on the ship's comm system. It was from the Concord High Council. The subject line sent a chill down Ilara's spine. "Humanity's actions have drawn ATTNTN. Prepare for inspection." Ilara and O'Neill exchanged worried glances. They had changed the game all right. But now, it seemed, the real test was about to begin. Alien alliances and betrayals. The aftermath of Project Cosmic Gulp sent shockwaves through the galaxy. As humanity basked in its newfound unity, the Concord found itself divided. Some members saw humans as a promising addition to galactic society, while others viewed them as a dangerous wild card. Captain Ilara Chen stood before the Concord High Council, a holographic assembly of the most powerful beings in the known universe. The chamber hummed with tension as she made her case for humanity's admission. "We've met your challenge," Ilara argued. "We've shown we can overcome our differences and work together for a greater purpose." A chorus of chimes and vibrations filled the air as the council deliberated. Finally, a being of pure energy spoke. "Your methods were unorthodox, Captain, but effective. The council is split on how to proceed." Suddenly, alarms blared. A frantic Zixlith materialized. "Councillors, we have a crisis. Rogue elements within the Concord have launched an attack on Earth." Chaos erupted in the chamber. Ilara's mind raced. Had they come so far only to face annihilation? As the council argued, an unexpected ally emerged. The Vex, a race of silicon-based lifeforms known for their logic, spoke up. "The humans have demonstrated remarkable adaptability. We propose an alliance to defend Earth and stabilize the Concord." Ilara seized the opportunity. "We accept. Humanity stands ready to fight for our place in the galaxy." As Concord ships engaged the rogue fleet near Earth, Ilara and her crew found themselves in the heart of the battle. The Curiosity, enhanced with Vex technology, danced through the starry battlefield. Commander O'Neill, his aqua vitae-enhanced reflexes at the helm, pulled off maneuvers that defied physics. Lieutenant Meta's deep understanding of alien tech allowed him to exploit weaknesses in the enemy ships. The tide turned. The rogue fleet, outmatched by the human Vex alliance, retreated. As the dust settled, Ilara received a transmission from the Concord Council. "Captain Chen," the energy being's voice resonated. "Your species has once again surprised us. The Council has reached a decision. Humanity will be granted probationary membership in the Concord." Ilara allowed herself a small smile. It wasn't full acceptance, but it was a start. As she looked out at the starfield, she knew humanity's greatest adventures were just beginning. The galaxy would never be the same again. Ilara raised her hand, and on cue, a holographic representation of the Milky Way galaxy appeared above the audience. Scattered throughout it were twinkling lights representing human outposts and expeditions. "To the stars, my friends," Ilara said, her voice filled with emotion. "Our greatest adventure is just beginning." As the assembly hall once again erupted in cheers, Ilara caught O'Neill's eye. He gave her a wink and raised an imaginary glass in a toast. She smiled, remembering the crazy chance he took that started it all. Outside, the night sky was ablaze with the lights of ships from 100 worlds. Humanity had taken its place among the stars, and the galaxy would never be the same again.